So good afternoon. My name is Yael Fisher. I'm from Israel. And I have to start with a few things. I think maybe, do you think we should close the door so maybe we can hear us inside and not like, so we're not a lot of people right now here, but I would like to start with something that we heard in the keynotes that we just heard. It's amazing. First of all, of course, he talked about the 6th of October and then talked about the 7th of October, and I'm living it on a daily basis. But he talked a lot about what's going to happen in 10 years. So I want to start from that. We are going to need teachers today, tomorrow, and when my grandchildren will have grandchildren. I'm sure of that. Because I'm going to talk today about perceptions. And you know, when he started his talk today, and I said perceptions, that's going to be like my whole thing I'm going to talk about. Maybe if I would have asked the people tomorrow what their perceptions are, they would have given me different answers with different prompts, and we'll talk about a little AI later. But I do want to start with something. So do me a favor, take out your iPhone, or your phones, whatever you're using, scan the barcode, and can we change to the, let them scan a second, tell me that they scanned it and they're in. It has to put you into Mentimeter. Do you see the Mentimeter? Did you get in? Okay, so you can also, of course, scan. You can scan it too.
I scan.
Okay, and there's a question, now we're going to, let's move to the Mentimeter so I can, what do you think the teacher's sense of defensibility? We're talking about, it's either school or preschool teachers. For you, what do you think it is, defensibility? I am going to help you a little and say that defense is not only protecting yourself from someone hitting you, okay? So go from there. And you'll start answering. You can answer if you put as many words as you want to put on it. We're going to see it on the screen in a second. And then there's another question as well. Just put on. And if it's in a different language, it's okay. You'll tell us what it is. Okay. So we're starting to get some answers like feel comfortable and safe. I wonder the meaning. I'm going to explain it, of course. The nice thing about Mentimeter is that, like, if we would have been now 50 people, the word that goes many times on screen, of course, becomes bigger, larger. But here we see that we have, if you want to add something, you can add. Okay, we're starting to get like secure, order, security, tolerance, atmosphere. And I'll tell you in a minute why I'm even asking that. So if you answered that, you can just like press, there's a little arrow that can move you to the other question that I want to ask, is what is the sense of autonomy? When does a teacher or a preschool teacher, think about yourselves, okay? It doesn't matter what you do, what's work, and I'll ask in a second what actually you do. What gives you the feeling of autonomy? Okay. So we see already that we have freedom of choice. Okay. Do we have teachers among us? Except your teachers. Okay, it's interesting. Great. We'll see in a second because someone wrote teaching pace is common. And oh no, it just went down. Control environment, supportive administrators. We're getting there. Like We're slowly getting there. So now I'm going to go back to the presentation, which you'll have to do it because it's another system. It's not a regular system. Okay. I'll start from here. We're going to have 4 subjects that I'm going to go through. The first one is going to be, of course, a theoretical background, just so I'll let you know what am I talking about. Then we'll go into the methodology of it's a research. Then, of course, results and conclusion. Some of the things are going to be a little mixed up, but I'm going to do it very slowly. So if you have questions, we have a lot of time. You can ask me, even if I don't know if there are people online, but if there are people online, they can ask me as well questions and we'll go through it. So let's start again from the theoretical part of it. I am a college professor. I teach mostly graduate students, educational administration. And one day, one of my thesis students came up to me and said, you know what I'm really interested in? I want to know preschool teachers, she's a preschool teacher, when do they feel that they have the autonomy of doing what they want? I said, when you say autonomy, what do you have in mind? She said, I don't know, but let's try and find out. I said, okay. And she said, but that's not enough. I want to know what preschool teachers feel about defensibility. Because when we talk about defensibility, it could be a school system. It could be a preschool system. It could be university as well. We think of physical defensibility. It's the first thing we think of. Parents won't hit us. Nobody will push me. A child won't push a child. But then I said, okay, that's fine. I'll go with you. Let's try and see, how do we find out? Now I'm talking about perceptions. And we talked before about AI, like an hour of AI. So I want to show you that these 2 pictures are AI. I have a very interesting relationship with AI. And I'll start with a story before I'll go to the subject I'm even talking about. You'll see that one of the terms I'm going to use is self-efficacy. We'll talk about it, and probably you know what self-efficacy is. So I have a very good, close, new friend. His name is Claude. I use him like on a daily basis. We connect all the time. And then I said, dear Claude, could you please tell me who translated to Hebrew the word self-efficacy? I'm not exaggerating. I got like a page and a half he said, oh, self-efficacy translated to Hebrew. Of course, his name is Professor Eran something. And in the year of 2004, he translated and wrote a book in the year of 2004. And he works in the Hebrew Youth in Jerusalem. He has a page. He gave me the title of the www whatever page. And I said, okay. First of all, I went Google, once we didn't have Claude. We had Google, so I Googled him, and I couldn't find his name. So I went back to Claude, and I said, my dear new friend Claude, I can't find this guy. And he said, oh, press the link I sent you. So I pressed the link, and I said, he's not there. So I went back to Google, and I said, please show me who got what we call the Israeli prize in 2004. His name wasn't there. So I went now this is already about 20 minutes of me Googling, his answering. And then I went back to him and I said, listen, there's no person by the name you just said. So he answers me and he says, you know what? I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. I'll do better next time, and if I'll have an answer, I'll send you the answer the minute I'll have it. That was about half a year ago. I didn't get an answer from him, of course, because as we understood this morning, I'm talking to a machine. The machine has no feelings. He doesn't care if I'm wasting. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going back to basic, like pencil and paper. And I called my tutor, who was my thesis and my PhD tutor, and I said, could you please tell me who translated self-efficacy to Hebrew? And he gave me the answer. And then I said, this is really a class for life. Because when you try and ask AI something, and if I would have asked him, like you just wrote, you thought and you wrote a cloud of words. And if I would have asked my new friend, we're in a very complicated situation right now with the answers that he gives me. So if I would have asked him, okay, tell me what's defensibility, tell me what autonomy is. I don't know, maybe he would give me different things that you said, because you also use something that AI will never have, and that's the thing that we have here. So I'm going to keep on doing research the regular way, even though I'm a quantitative researcher, but I'm going to do it the same way. So actually, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about how I found out what defensibility is, what autonomy is, but we are going to talk about perceptions. Now, we have here people from different countries. We have Finland. I think our chair is from Finland. I'm from Israel. I don't know from where. Indonesia.
South Korea.
Bangladesh.
India.
Arkansas.
So now each one of us are cultural based perceptions. So what I'm going to show you is the Israeli perception that maybe could be very different. I'm not sure. I think that we'll all decide at the end of it. Before I even continue, my presentation is really beautiful. The projector isn't. Okay? So when I walked in this room this morning, I said, listen, I really have a beautiful presentation, but look, it looks white. It's not white. It's like a very beautiful beige. So, and I thought, why didn't I ask my dear Claude friend what to do if I walk this morning? Columbia. I'm presenting in Columbia University. It's like probably the high tech of whatever high tech could be. Not MIT, but high tech. Why didn't I ask him? What do I do if the projector's lousy? So anyway, we'll go on. I do have two more additional concepts. One of them is self-efficacy, which I just told you. That's why I had the whole discussion with my friend Claude. The other thing is conditional perceptions. Think about it a second. When I think of something, okay, for example, autonomy. Is it only about me or other people as well? This is a term that actually I decided about a couple of years ago in a different thing belonging to ethics, but I use it here as well, and I'll of course explain what I'm talking about. So first of all, self-efficacy. Self-efficacy, each one of us is what we think we can do good or bad or intermediate of anything we do. But of course, whoever deals with self-efficacy, except Claude, knows that Bandura is like the guy of self-efficacy. But it's not only self-efficacy like in everyday life. We have also self-efficacy of a professional. And when we talk about self-efficacy of a professional, it's how the professional thinks he's doing his job in the best way. Adding to that, we have teachers' self-efficacy. Because it's not only if I think I'm a great teacher. Maybe I think I'm a great teacher. Are my students great students because I'm a great teacher? By the way, we know that a good teacher is a good pupil. We talk about it usually. I come from educational administration, so we say an excellent principal is an excellent school, an excellent teacher is an excellent student. So we have 3 levels of self-efficacy, and what I'm talking about is, of course, the third one, which is the teacher's self-efficacy, and it's a very interesting area. I don't think that we wake up in the morning and say, okay, am I capable of doing something? But I want to tell you that I wasn't always a college professor. I was a professional dancer, a ballet dancer. I started in medical school. From there, I moved to the dance academy, and actually, I graduated from dance academy. I'm by mistake in the academic world, but I remember that as a dancer, I had to wake up every day and ask myself, can I do better? That's what self-efficacy is about. Same in everything we do. Look at the picture. We heard this morning AI. It's done by AI. What was the prompt that I gave? That's not Claude. It's a different AI. I have a few friends, like I have Claude, but I'm very friendly with AI. What I put in the prompt, by the way, what do you see here?
Almost.
Okay. Does anyone have another idea? What did I ask? What did I ask him to do? That is like the key question of the prompt. He talked about it in the morning. What I asked him, I said, listen, I want you please to show me these leaves, which they do have like a little yellowish color inside, in a sunset in a forest. It's not a bad image what he gave me. But when I asked you, what do you see in the picture? I don't think you would have thought that that's going to be the prompt I gave him. That's exactly what happens with perceptions. Because I ask someone, how do you feel about something? I don't go every day to see if he really thinks about it. He can tell me whatever he wants to say. So, when we're talking about conditional perceptions, it's right here it says about school excellence, but we're not talking about. It's not the right, by the way, it's not the right presentation that I uploaded. Okay. Because I see that that's exactly what I changed this morning, and it's not that. So, but I'll keep on talking until we'll find the good one. Oh, that's one. Let me see. Let's go to the picture and see by the picture. That's a right presentation. Yes. Technology. That's technology. I came here, honestly, 11:30 I was in this room, putting the right presentation on. And good thing I just saw that it's, okay, are we good now? Yes. Another one? And here we are, okay. Share this more. This is really nice. Okay, so it actually, when we're going back a second for the conditional perceptions, what are teachers' perceptions of defensibility? Do they depend on other factors? When I walk into a classroom, do I feel that I'm the only one that can say I'm in charge of how I feel about defensibility? Or I have other conditions, which we'll talk about in a second. Now, I want to ask you guys really a question. We our sample was 209 Israeli preschool teachers from different areas. Israel is a dot nation. When I mean a dot nation, when you look on the map, you see it as a little dot. That's why I call it the dot nation. And I asked 209 Israeli preschool teachers, you'll tell me at the end if you think it's accurate to the country around the globe that we see here. So the sample is not very big, but it's enough for what I have to do with statistics, because we need only 200 in order to be able to get some kind of idea. And now the instruments, I think everybody knows that today we use questionnaires, of course anonymous, but they're online. Because today we use online. We don't use any more paper and pen questionnaires. And then I have to check if the people who answered are really from different regions. Because, for example, I put it online. So what? If it will be only from the center of the country I live, or the north, or the south. Lucky me, it was spread out very well. But it was, we had actually 3 different parts in the questionnaire. 2, we did really new questionnaires for this research. The 3rd one, we used a questionnaire that we already had from a different one. I'm going to talk in a minute about something that I think you all are going to listen to it or and hearing about it for the first time. But what we did is actually we started with interviewing preschool teachers, asking them, what is defensibility? Just what I did at the beginning of my talk. What is defensibility? What is autonomy? And they gave us some ideas. We put together a questionnaire, and that was the first part. Then we defined it by using something that I know it's, did anyone here in the room hear about facet theory? Ever? Okay. So it's going to be something new I'm going to show it to you. It's a statistical approach. We're a tiny group in the world that use it. Actually, it was the first time someone even thought about it. He was actually Israeli, but we use it today. There are a couple of researchers all over the world that we use facet theory. I'm going to explain to you in a second what it is. The 3rd part, I used SEM. And the reason I use SEM is because if I use only facet theory in whatever I write, no journal will accept it because they say they don't understand it. So I always have to do also SEM so people will actually understand what I'm doing. So what is facet theory? Facet theory, and I'll show you it in a second so you'll understand what it is. It's an approach. It's some kind of a framework that enables me to take complicated terms. For example, like the term of defensibility or autonomy, and shows it in a very graphic way on a map. Look at this a second, okay? This is New York. We see like Manhattan, we see Bronx, we see Queens, we see Brooklyn, we see Staten Island. These are facets. But now, if I take only Manhattan and the lower part of Manhattan, I can divide it into 2 regions. For example, here I have expanded area or prohibited area. So I have the facets which were Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and then I take only one part of it and I divide it into other parts, into smaller parts. It's exactly what I do. I don't do anything. The computer does it for me. And that's facets with regions. So I'm starting now the results. I start with regular statistics like we do in every research. I do correlations. I do item total correlations for each thing because when I start a research, by the way, facet theory people are so angry that I do regular statistical computation like this and every time they have something to say. But I want to see if I have a scale. I did the research. People answered, do I have a scale? When I say defensibility, do I get results that really show that it's defensibility? And then everyone does factor analysis. We know what factor analysis is. There anyone in the room that never heard about factor analysis? I'm sure we all heard about factor analysis. Then when I did the first time factor analysis, we say we have Kornbach's alpha coefficient, which for us, quantitative researchers, is like the Bible, because it goes from 0 to 1, and the more close to 1 it is, the better the scale is. So if I get like numbers like 0.91 or 0.89, I say, oh my God, I have a good scale, I can continue. So as we can see, we tested the perception of self-efficacy of preschool teachers, and the Kronbach alpha was 0.91. That means that all the questions that were in the questionnaire are good questions, and they actually talk about self-efficacy. Now, about autonomy, we see again a very high Kornbach alpha, which is 0.92. And I say, oh God, I worked so hard to have a questionnaire. I have a good questionnaire there as well. And then I went into defensibility. And again, I got 0.96. It's like almost like too good to be true. But I say, I have good questions in my scale. After I did that, I'm going to show you something. In facet theory, we use something that is called mapping sentence. It's assumptions, just as we do assumptions in any research, which say a preschool teacher perceives, I write here her, even though I have to tell you a small story. We went yesterday evening to see Anne Juliet. It's a musical on Broadway. It's amazing, okay? If you have time now when you're in New York, run to see it. It's beautiful. And there's this, one of the actors, he goes out and he says, I don't know if I'm a he or I'm a she, or if on stage, or if you should call me he, she. And I said, it is so 2024. But here I write, in an international conference, a preschool teacher perceives her defensibility. And probably you'll say, either she doesn't know English or what happens here. So the reason I wrote her and not his, her, their, and etc., is because in Israel, we hardly have male preschool teachers. I don't know how it goes in different countries. Maybe it's different in wherever you come from. But in Israel, we have 99 point something % of women. And I decided that it's the right way to approach it with a her. And that's what we did here in the mapping sentence. It says that a preschool teacher preserves her defensibility in 3 domains. External factors. That means I feel that I'm defended by external factors that have nothing to do with me. They're external to me. Emotional factors, which is how I feel about it. AI will never give me emotional factors. He could write what is emotional factors, but he won't feel emotional factors. He won't go in the morning into the preschool and see the preschool teacher very edgy, or very happy, or very sad. And professional factors. I'll show you in a second what it is, everything. According to, this is conditional perceptions. Conditional perceptions is what I, as a preschool teacher, or a teacher, or whatever, I believe in. Not anyone else, not anyone outside the preschool, or the community talking about parents, local authority talking about the city, the town, and the Ministry of Education, which in Israel has a lot of influence. And according to that, it will be high or low levels of perception of defensibility. These are assumptions, but facet theory is based on this mapping sentence. Now look at this. You know, every time I do some kind of computation with facet theory, you can't see here the lines, but I can show it on my computer. There are lines actually between, I've just learned a very important thing. There are lines between each one of what's written A1, A2, and A3. These, it's one facet. Okay, one facet, it's Manhattan, for example. The three little areas are what I showed you regions in lower Manhattan. So I have external, look, for example, there are conflicting requirements that infect my emotions. When I have a parent coming in and it tells me, listen, you don't know how to do your job, I feel really angry. That's emotional. And external factors. I'm not afraid that when I feel that I'm defended, but I'm not afraid that someone is going to lay me off and come into my classroom tomorrow and say, go home. I don't say to myself, go home. I don't fire myself. Someone will fire me. Or, for example, parents believe me and support me. When they do that, I feel that I'm defended. So it's not only if someone hits me or doesn't hit me, it's when I have external factors and emotional factors and of course professional factors. When I get a map like that, I usually do it when my husband is not home, and then I call into work and I say, listen, I got a beautiful map. He says, what are you, like, honestly, it's dots in the middle of nowhere. What can you learn of it? But what we can learn of it, that's how preschool teachers percept the meaning of defensibility. That I can do with factor analysis. But what I can't do with factor analysis is the next one. It's this. This is a different facet. Now it's not Manhattan, it's Bronx, okay? It's another place. It's another dimension. And this is the conditional perceptions, which have an order. It goes through what I believe, what the community believes, and what the Ministry of Education believes. For example, when I believe in the decision-making process, or I'm not constantly asked to introduce new changes, it has nothing to do with me, that's about the community, or I'm not afraid of layoffs. That's facet theory. And then I can come with another mapping sentence, which I won't go thorough like I did before. It has the same thing about autonomy. I'll just show you in a second because I want to show other things as well. And here you see, and again, back to New York, back to Bronx, Manhattan, New Jersey, etc., in three different places. And in external factors, emotional factors, and professional factors of there are no conflicting requirements, or I'm not afraid of layoffs again, and parents believe in and support me. Now we have another facet. That means we're moving from Bronx to Brooklyn. And we have in Brooklyn 3 regions. I hope you see the 3 dimensions. Now I'm showing you the 3rd dimension. So it's very interesting, this part of it, but I'll move on. As I said, if I'll write only in facet theory, and I'll send it to a Q1 journal, they will write me back a very polite letter and say, "Dear Professor Fisher, we're really sorry. It's very interesting, of course, but we're not exactly sure what you're talking about." So I always do SAM, which is, of course, it's structural equation model. Don't be alarmed, but this is how it looks. I'm going to break it down. This actually shows me what is going to predict what. Let's break it down a little. It's a little small. Actually, it's too small. But we see on the left part of this map that we're talking about defensibility of external factors. We're talking about defensibility of emotional factors and defensibility of professional security. Defensibility, 3 parts of it, 3 factors. If I would have asked you, what will predict what? Will defensibility predict autonomy, or will autonomy predict defensibility? And what of the 2 will predict professional self-efficacy? You can't guess it. You have to have a computer to guess it. So you have to put it into a model. Now, he said in the morning, it was very interesting. He said that I can put a prompt and ask him, tell me what is a good model. I don't know, maybe. But here numbers talk. The numbers, by the way, is regression, okay? We do a regular regression, but it's a model. It's a full model. And when I get these results, I want to show you what it says. Self-efficacy could go both ways. It could predict and could be predicted. What we see here is exactly what it is. I know that if I'll move, somehow this pointer is not working very well. I don't know why. But I'm sorry, I don't think there's anyone home watching us somewhere in New Zealand. So I'm going to walk for a second into the map, and I want to show you something. And I don't hear anyone complaining about it, so probably it's okay. So I'll walk to the side. Okay. These arrows that are here and here and here say something very simple. They say that the sense of defensibility, when will I feel that I'm defended, will predict my self-efficacy, both in how parents react and my job flexibility. When you see the number 70, by the way, it's a classical regression number. It's very high. That means that my professional security will predict my self-efficacy. It makes sense. It's not like I invented what Einstein did, okay? I'm just showing you the numbers. When will I feel that I have self-efficacy, that I'm capable of doing my job good, that I'm doing my job good? Is when I'm feeling that someone defends me. Now, I thought that maybe it will go the other way around, that self-efficacy will predict something about defensibility. It doesn't, but what it does predict, I'll show you the high numbers, okay? 47, these are the high numbers. And we'll talk about it for a second. Defensibility does not predict, but is predicted by autonomy. That means let me do my job. Let me walk into the classroom in the morning. Don't interfere. Let me do my job as well as I can do my job. And then if you let me do my job, I will feel that I'm defended. It makes, the funny thing is when you are a quantitative researcher, the numbers make sense. But then you can tell people what's the meaning of it. So we see here predicting it when the beta that predicts regression is 0.73. It's really high. I have to feel that I can do what I want to do, and then I'm defended. Or example, it's either professional or management or whatever it would be, doesn't matter. But what I really wanted to find, and I didn't find, and I think Bandura, which is really the self-efficacy guy, I thought that maybe I will find that self-efficacy also predicts other things, but I saw, again, we're talking about 209 preschool teachers. Maybe if I would do it tomorrow in Tunisia. I would do it tomorrow in, I don't know, in Finland, or wherever it would come. We would have seen different numbers. By the way, it's very interesting to do it and see how, we'll talk about it in a few seconds. So this is like the major finding. So we have two things here. Of course, this is very high as well. The defensibility will predict self-efficacy. And I'm defended, I can do it then. I'm not sure it's only in education. I think it could be in a social worker, for example, that's not afraid of the people who are going to come and walk into her or his office. So I'm going back to the place that no one is hearing me in the camera anyway. And of course, this picture is AI as well. I tell my students, listen, you want to put a picture and you don't want Google to give you an alert that, listen, you took a picture that has copyright, do it with AI. But think, what is the prompt you're writing? What I wrote is that I want a picture that will show a kindergarten or a preschool teacher feeling happy when she walks into a classroom. Actually, it gave me a very nice picture. I think we can see, like, the teacher's happy, she's sitting among kids. Now the conclusions. The sense of defensibility, I can define the sense of defensibility. Confidence in issues related to external, emotional, and professional factors. It makes sense, okay? It really makes sense. Now, let's not talk only about being a teacher. Is it, just if you're ready to tell me what you're doing, what, for example, do you do as a profession?
I guess professor.
In university. So, for example, when you walk into a classroom, it doesn't matter exactly what you teach, and you see the students really angry, like with a sad face and a serious face, automatically you'll probably be like saying, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. They don't like me. What did I do this time? But if you'll walk into a classroom and everyone will smile and people will participate in whatever you're teaching, you'll start feeling that maybe you're doing a good job. And it's you'll feel defended. You'll feel that everyone is protecting you. And it depends, of course, on conditional perceptions, because it's not only you walk into the classroom, the students are very happy to see you, but you just walked. Yeah, I'm finishing. I'm exactly like finishing in a second. I practiced at home. I didn't even ask Claude. I just practiced. And you just came back talking with your head of your department. Maybe it's you. I don't know if you're head of the department, but you are. Okay, so you had a good talk with yourself, but let's say it's not you. It's the head of the university or the college or and he was really angry with you. It has nothing to do with you, but he was angry on you. You came into a classroom, even if the students were really happy to see you, but someone really made you upset before. So that's conditioned perception. The sense of autonomy is I think we understood from seeing when we saw the SAM, is let me do my job. When I walk into the classroom and I close the door, like just happened now, let me do my job. If I'm a college professor, don't interfere. I know, that's why I'm a college professor. I worked very hard to become a college professor. It's not that somebody picked me up. I don't know how you walked today to the entrance where they told us, but it took me like 15 minutes to go around the block, around the block, around the block, and on high heels because I forgot to take my flip-flops with me. So, but I want to feel that I have the autonomy to do what I'm good in doing. And of course, there are practical. I have to do research and to have practical conclusions, and so it's policy making and change to expand the curricula or whatever it is. So first of all, thank you very much for being here with me. I think we have a minute or two, just if someone has any question at all, and if not, even though we're like a small group, it was a pleasure being with you. And thanks. Thank you very much.